Up next, Quinn, you guys played against SpaceStation in your set. What were your takeaways with what they did well against your team?
We felt we played really well against SpaceStation. We did a few mistakes early on in the 2 games that we ended up losing, which cost us the game. I'm really looking forward to the next game. I think the winner will probably be the second team besides Energy. I have Energy in the winner of this set to make it out of group stage.
Mike, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe call. I think if SpaceStation wins here and then they get to go up against Dig, who hasn't had the greatest performances, I think Trifecta didn't have, I think, a handle on the meta versus us. So if that didn't change, then I think they'd be in a great spot.
SpaceStation has got to try and turn it around against Elevate, and SpaceStation looked pretty good overall in that set, taking you guys to 5 games, and there were some picks there that were a little bit flavorful. Specifically, I'm thinking of Homiefe's Bakasura. What did that pick do against you guys that was so successful?
Well, we kind of expected him to pick Baka. We've seen him after the online split to just spam Q ranked with Bakasura. In the game, he picked it. Unfortunately, he got an early kill. He killed Mass, and as Mass was dying, you could see Nike's death animation. He hit level 5. So it was the last second. Otherwise, Mass could have all survived. And then it's a favorable matchup. But he managed to turn around the matchup. So he used Bakasura from behind and put Warriors in the jungle behind, which is similar to if you manage to put Elevate's comp behind, they're a lot worse than from ahead or even.
The number one thing with Homie for me is throughout his career, like nobody would question like his mechanics are insane. He has like a pretty good god pool. Sometimes it's kind of flustered a little bit, but for me, it's always him being proactive or not. And on the Baka, he was being very proactive. He was blinking in. He was aggressing onto LG, and he was able to make plays. Sometimes he doesn't do that, and I think SpaceStation struggles when he does.
Even when he got a big lead in that Thor game where he gets the double kill in mid early on because of Scary D's horrific emblem, he wasn't
really dictating the pace of the game at all. He was kind of letting LG roam around. It was mainly played through Zap. Zap was trying to pressure Baron lane, but that doesn't get you golds. That's not going to get you objectives. That doesn't snowball a win.
And that, in large part, comes down to confidence for me, and also how the rest of the team wants to play around Homie and how they want Homie to be playing. Because from my understanding of SpaceStation's team dynamic, it's a lot of Andinster and it's a lot of Jigz dictating what they want around the map, and for good reason. I mean, Andinster is one of the most winning guys in North American Smite.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a bit of a learning experience. Like, if I'm Homie and I get a double kill level 1 like that, like, everyone else is shutting up and you're listening to me because I'm carrying the game. Like, but he kind of deferred to them. He let them play through duo instead of playing through Homie. He didn't really snowball Scary off of a 2-kill advantage in that 2v2 on that side of the map. It was just a little odd to me.
And Scary didn't have the best of sets up against Luminosity, specifically in lane against Aquarius. I believe there was a solo each way, so both got a word in. But what have you seen from Scary, Quintosh, as a player underneath your coaching, and now that he's transitioned into this role for SpaceStation? Is it more of the really great Scary D that played great for you guys at Worlds last year?
Well, when we picked Scary up, he was on Elevate, so similar story with Arkil and DeathPanter.
Sure.
We saw some potential, and we thought this should work. And we managed to fix a lot of issues he had. He was really good working with our team in teamfights. On his Amaterasu, he was just winning games. We ended up having to kick him because there were some issues we couldn't fix. It seems like with SpaceStation, he managed to fix some of these. So I'm really glad he found another team that just works for him. He's a really nice guy, so I'm glad he ended up there. But as you could see, he still has some stuff to work on, and thankfully, Aqua was able to beat him.
I think the main thing with Scary is having fun. Like, when he was getting really good in the pro scene, he was having a ton of fun playing the game. He had a ton of fun at the start of you guys. I think that kind of left. And now a new team environment, I think he's having a lot more fun. He's playing more, and I think he's trying to get back to his old self, and we'll see how they perform here.
Yeah, Mike, a former teammate of Scary D's.
Love that guy.
The Randozos during that bright
Don't love
time.
that team. Love the guy, though, not the team.
That was really like Scary D, the team, right? Or at least that's what everyone would like it to.
It was like all of us like, yeah, we're not doing well, but we love Scary D, so it's cool.
But we get to lose while hanging out with Scary D.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's not
silver lining.
Exactly. It's not always a loss whenever Scary's involved. And his land stats are very impressive. No surprise with how well he played under the Luminosity tag last year. He's near the top in terms of damage mitigated among all North American players. Frontlines very well. Just a matter of getting the ball rolling for him. And that goes back to Homiefe being that proactive sort of jungler. What is Bakasura the exact type of pick that you guys would like to see Homie play in this what will likely be a triple guardian setup?
That's difficult to say. Bakasura into tanks can go either way. If he gets a similar start than he did in our game, it can go really well for him. He's a cripple. He can just slow down their mobility, and they can just burst him down. But it goes the other way. If he doesn't get a lead, he's just Bakasura into tanks, doesn't really have a lead, so he's not even doing much true damage to them. And they're just, well, we're tanks. You're not even scratching us.
Right.
For me, the key to this game is all draft. I mentioned the part of Elevate being first pick guarantees them one of the 3 Guardian jungles for Cherryo. I think that's a huge deal. If SpaceStation ends up winning the coin flip, I think it'd be a very big mistake for them to take second. I think on top of that, they showed that Elevate did that they didn't really care about the soul. They let Zeros have it the last game. Andy played it, 4 games in your set out of the 5. So that seems like it'll be a guaranteed pick for them. I think if they pick that along with a good solo pick for Scary, and then 3rd pick Homie, I think they'll be in a good spot, or maybe Faf for Jigz.
Yeah, Fafnir has been one of those picks that has been really heavily prioritized by both sides of
I think especially in this set,
NNA.
right? Because if Elevate gets it on Dardez with a Guardian jungle and they have double Hunter, that's GG. You lose one team fight and you're done. And then same with SpaceStation. It's probably Jig's best god by a lot.
By a mile, for sure.
Fafnir are going to be prioritized heavily in this one. Jigz is one of those supports that gets talked about quite a bit in the North American scene, but just has not seemed to find that success on land that his online success has really made you come to expect. What has been the problem with Jigz' teams going back into Season 3 where they just didn't have the performances on that SOAR roster that you would expect?
Well, if you go back all the way to SOAR, they did have some roster switches for LAN. They switched up Snoopy. So it was a trade-off. It had some they had some issues. They tried to fix it. Didn't completely work for them. We managed to abuse it at Worlds, which is why we got ahead of SOAR when they were beating us online. We were winning against scrims in them, but they just managed to pull out in actual games. And when they made that switch, it didn't seem to work as well as they thought it did.
What's it like playing against Jigz compared to other supports? Because I hear other supports talking about his playstyle all the time and how it's a little bit different.
It's kind of like a two-way street where he doesn't get picked like a lot of supports. Like I think Jeff and I play very aggressively. Like there's a high chance for the other team to be like, okay, we're just going to dump everything into them, see if we can kill him. With Jigz, he doesn't really present that option, but he also doesn't put pressure on you either. He kind of just like relaxes. If Homie gets ahead and they get to make plays together, he won't miss, so that's good. But just like a different play style, kind of more of like a passive-aggressive.
And that's kind of embodied what all of SpaceStation likes to do, at least in my mind. And they aren't the aggressive, we're going to be on top of your buffs every single time you're either fighting us or we're taking this objective. They are we will let you do what you want until you step on our territory, and then we'll try and counter-initiate for you. How hard is that to play against in comparison to a team like eUnited, Quinn?
They definitely do play a lot better if you do make a mistake and they capitalize on it. In our online set against them, we tried some new stuff, some new starts, and it didn't work as well, and they just capitalized on it, which is why they managed to take a game off us in the online split. They just play a very different play style. As you mentioned, Jigz not as aggressive, and that just reflects in this whole team. They work off well together in a different place that just isn't as aggressive, unless they can take a lead by the enemy team.
I feel like it comes down to just being a reactive team. Like us and LG, like it's me and Scream, it's Jeff and Mask. We're the ones trying to fly around, make the plays. With SpaceStation, it's more of Zap and Andy. And those two are the carry roles they want to farm. So they play more of a reactive play style. They kind of wait for you to force something to make a mistake, and then if you do and they get ahead, you're done.
I mean, and it's funny that you mentioned Andy and Zap, because I'm looking at the stats here for all-time LAN performances. Andy and Zap, two of the few players who have over 4 kills per game on average, both near the top. The 2 top kills per game players in North America are Andinster and Zapman in that order. And Andy's performances at LAN used to be a big question mark.
Used to be Andinster.
Andinster, exactly. You always knew that he was going to have a weird performance at LAN. But for me, I think that title has been completely shaken. He's had a couple good LANs in a row where he's looked like himself all over again.
Well, he's still Andinster. It used to be like, oh, thank God we get to play against Andinster. Now it's like, oh, crap. So it's a little different, but I don't know. Andy's just like one of those really good button pressers. Like he doesn't miss any ability ever, and if you're out of position, he's going to punish you for it.
Also, one of the better shot callers in the league.
It pretty much in the history of the game. Not even right now. I think he advanced the entire scene with Shotcalling, which is a little surprising to see SSG be more of a reactive team, because you would think somebody like that would be more of a dominating voice in their comms.
That's what I was just about to say, is that when I think of great shot callers in the history of Smite, Andinster is one of the first that comes to mind. And do you think that it's by choice that they are a very reactive team, Quintosh, or that just seems to be what they end up being best at?
I would assume when they first started putting this team together, they tried out, okay, what's working best for us. I'm pretty sure Andy tried to still be the shot caller and just leading his team and just making sure he can control what everyone's doing. But after a while, it seemed they just realized it works better if they switch up his playstyle that he did on Cloud9, for example, where he just was able to control the players, play the game, make the team play the game he wants to play, and just win the game through that. It didn't seem to work, so they changed it to fit more the team, the other players, and that's working much better for them.
How well do you think Zapman has changed the identity of this team, Mike?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Zap is an extra voice in there. My theory on it with the Andy Shotcalling thing was moving to a new role. When he was a jungler, you get to be proactive and he gets to make the plays. But when you're a mid laner and he's deferring to Homie, you don't want to like pressure him like, oh, I would go in here and then force Homie. You don't want to make him uncomfortable. So they have a different play style. I think Zap helps out a lot because you have another person looking to make plays that has a different perspective, and then it also helps the late game shot calling.
This is one of those games that is going to be really fun in picks and bans because the normal gods that other teams are prioritizing, Fafnir is still going to be a prioritization for both of these squads, but things like the Morrigan, which a lot of mid laners really like to pick early on, I don't think we're going to see Morrigan picked or banned here. Andy doesn't seem to have it in his god pool.
Yeah, I think it'll be completely ignored, 100%.
Which is so crazy, it's specifically for Andinster, because, I mean, to have one of the best Thor players in the league in Homiefe on your team and one of the best Thor players of all time in your mid lane for Andinster, literally all I want on this earth is to watch someone get double
Thor?
That's all I want. Quintosh, can you make this happen for me?
Andy, pick Morrigan.
Thank you.
Well, it's
now
weird
there we
too
go.
because I was asking some of the EU boys, like Morrigan, I think they spammed it more than NA for the entirety of the year. And this land, they've basically ignored it for the most part. Rival banned it a couple times in the second phase against Thanatos, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, they haven't really seen a lot of it. We'll have to see if we're going to see it here, though. Like I said, I doubt we will. We're ready with picks and bans for Elevate up against SpaceStation. Elevate do have that first pick.
That's huge.
Selection.
That is completely huge.
Yeah, that's definitely a big favor.
So now if you're SpaceStation, what you're looking at is you're going to ban 2 of those 3 Guardians. Elevate's probably going to pick the 3rd, and then you're taking a Soul off of that, and then most likely either a Fafnir if they let it through, which I would expect Elevate to ban, and if it's not that, then you probably look straight towards Scarity's God Pool.
So we'll have to wait
or maybe
and see
a
what SpaceStation want to go for. The 3 of us are in agreement that if we are on SpaceStation, we're banning Athena and Cabrakan and leaving open the RTO, correct?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see if that's what SpaceStation have decided.
Unless Jigz... So because you're second pick, you get to react a little bit more. So if you're Jigz, I think you'd rather play, if you're a Fafnir, you'd rather play against the Cabrakan than the RDO, just by a little bit. So if they see Elevate, not ban Fafnir, then I think you ban those 2 Guardians, and then you try to pick Soul Fafnir in your top 2.
Wouldn't be surprised if Elevate leave open the Fafnir, because if you heard Cherryo's interview, Dardez would rather play something weird than play the Fafnir or meta pick, such as Fafnir or Terra. But Fafnir also has a pretty bad matchup up against Nox, which is one of Dardez's better supports.
Oh yeah, you can first pick Nox, and Dardez like, yeah, I'll take it.
Well, it's one of those weirder things where they, like, Dardez may not want to play it because, you know, it's the meta pick or whatever, and people will be prepared for it. But for their strategy specifically, it's probably the best support pick with Coerce. And then SSG, we already talked about Jigz.
Yeah, Athena is the first ban for SpaceStation, Osiris, and Bakasura. So Elevate deciding to respect what Homiefe did against Luminosity.
I think that's perfect for a best of 1. Take away a pocket pick, a potential cheese strat, if you want to call it that. That you're not prepared for. I doubt they've scrimmed against it much at all. So,
and plus, with Elevate's sort of strategy, you're not giving up too much, but in that first pick position by banning away something like Bakasura, Quintosh.
Yeah, you don't really are afraid of anything else besides maybe Nem if you want to expect Homie to shred the tanks, but that's not something you want to first ban. You can still pick around it with your other picks. As I said, Bakasura into triple Guardians if they want to run it again. It can go either way. And as Mike said, they ban the RDO.
Right.
Surprising. So Elevate, this is the exact same 2 bans that Dignitas went with up against Elevate. Pretty similar to what they did.
So that was what I was saying. Like, if you see they're going to give you Fafnir, you definitely get rid of RDO. You don't have to deal with the cripple field, and it's really easy for you to kill both, comparatively. They're still Guardians, so they're hard, but they're each, like, kind of immobile.
Now, SpaceStation could try and call Elevate's bluff that they won't pick Fafnir here for Dardez, but with Double Hunter, even if, that isn't what Dardez would like to play.
I wouldn't even think about it right here. This would be Fafnir Soul, boom, instantly.
But it's going to be the AMC taking it away.
Actually, this is fine, because if Elevate's not going to play, I'm actually a big noob. You just take AMC or Hoi here, and the 3rd pick can be the Soul.
It's true. Elevate probably not going to take that. Though if DeathPanter wants to play Hunters, Soul is basically the magical version of a Hunter.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad pick for him.
Well, I was going to mention this earlier, but the thing with DeathPanter between the fall off from the Hunters to the Mages to me is his positioning when his abilities are down. I think on the Mages you weave in and out of fights a little bit more. And I think sometimes he has a tendency to go in as soon as they're up when his team's not ready, and then he'll get picked off. But with the Hunters, I think he positions really well.
Xing Chen, the pick for Elevate. Why is Elevate love this Xing Chen
I think
pick
that's
so much?
actually an insane pick here. I bet Jeff is somewhere in the stands just loving it because Xing Chen against AMC, you have a really high chance to go ahead and just go on him for free. If a Fafnir transforms in front of you, you can alt and pick him off. I think that's a sick pick here. And then the Homiefe, same sort of thing. It has a good matchup versus AMC, just a really good Hunter in general.
You surprised to see the Raijin here, Quintosh, instead of that Soul?
Not really. We banned it.
Was it banned in your entire set?
We banned it until the game they picked
Game
it.
5,
Okay,
yeah.
wow.
So they
I didn't realize that.
Game 5. So Andinster very comfortable on this god, looking for some more mid-pressure. That does mean that Muzen Kaba is going to Zapman in the duo lane.
I think the Rama band's really good as well. Jermain's picked that, and I would assume this is a Hoyi mid 100%.
Kakalin's still available. Elevate banned that up against Dignitas in their last set, but may not be as worried quite as much about Scary D and what he's going to be playing there. What are the gods that you try and take away from Scary D, Quintosh?
We did ban Kukulin every set, in every game in our set, mostly because it had to do with how we want to start the game. It's just interfering too much if we don't play completely perfect. Elevate do a different start because they're playing a different comp. So it's not as bad for them if he gets it. They can deal with it. They might still ban it, but the Osiris ban is just a bigger threat to Xing Chen, who's probably in the soul lane, and they're the bench.
If I'm Elevate, I feel like these bans are free low right here. Like you take away Kakalin's probably the best soul laner available for Scary D's God pool, and then you're gonna have triple tank, and Homie's a sick Nem. I would just ban it. You don't have to worry about someone getting shredded. I think the Nox ban makes a lot of sense. As you mentioned, has a good matchup for Fafnir, can cancel out Raijin, all that good stuff.
Good ban there by SpaceStation. Mike's looking for the Nemesis ban. Do you almost want someone to pick Nemesis, though, into the Cabrakan? I mean, that should be at least a decent
it's
matchup.
fine. Also, I think Nem into triple tank, people are like, oh, she shreds it, but it's only to one target. My theory with it is if I see a Homiefe Thor or I see a Homiefe Raven, if you get past 15 minutes, he won't do any damage, and your carries will be chilling.
How hard is it to look at Sunder, Mike, and say,
Oh, I
Sunder
love that.
here?
Oh, Alquang is really wild.
Wow, an Ao Kwang ban really reaching.
I
there.
actually like that a lot because
Especially against Homie.
Yeah, because Homie is a sick Alquang. He's definitely one of the best Alquang players, I'd say, like along with Adapting probably. So that's a really interesting kind of preemptive ban of that to me says Elevate thinks they're going to win this game straight up unless they find some cheesy thing or some pocket pick from SpaceStation to pull out.
That's a smart ban because Ao Kwang does do well enough against these tanks, can shred them very quickly.
Well,
it's
especially
harder to
because
stack
Elevate
magic
plays so
potions.
late. Like they're going 40-minute games every single time. I mean, when we get to Elevate Noble, like we're probably going to be here for 3 hours. It's going to take forever.
Any consideration here, Quintosh, for something like a Thanatos, so you don't have to bring these tanks all the way to 0, just bring them down to 40%?
You could go for it, but you still need to get them down to 30%. And if Thana doesn't really get a lead, he doesn't really do too much damage.
Homie used to play that a lot in, was it the spring split or summer?
Yeah.
He was playing Thana a lot. He hasn't done it recently to my knowledge. Maybe he has in scrims. But that would be an interesting pick here.
Vamana, the pick for Scary D in the soul lane. Quintosh, how do you feel about this matchup against Xing Chen for Vamana?
Vamana is probably the best generic warrior into any Guardian. It used to be back to 4 years ago. You play Sobek, Vamana, and Vamana wins the lane. He has really good wave clear, and he can beat the Guardians in lane and just use that pressure. If he gets ahead, he can make it really difficult for no numbers to do what he wants in fight if there's just a big Vamana denying him everything.
Well, it's not about boxing, right? Like, the reason Vamana doesn't get picked is if you play it into Osiris or along Bologna, you're going to get out-traded. With a Guardian, that doesn't happen. So now you're out-farming them, and your mobility is probably better, so you just out-farm, out-rotate, you try to scale, dive their backline.
Got to be worried about how much damage those two hunters will do to you in the late game, though. Colossal Fury just kind of makes you a giant target in the later stages. Excellent in the early to mid because you do more damage than anyone can handle, and you have more protections and heal more than anyone can really handle, but come late game, a little bit of a concern there for Scary D's Vamana, though thorns and things like that make it so those hunters don't really want to hit him.
If I'm Elevate here, I don't think I would go back to the Geb. I like the Sylvanus a lot more for that third Guardian. They can get pressure off of that. Hachiman's very safe. A lot of the ADCs were gone, I guess, so the Hachiman is pretty good. That's definitely a Hoi mid, I would assume.
Yeah, Luminosity, you guys like this Hachiman pick, Barracuda in particular. What do you like so much about it, Quintosh?
His ult just makes him really safe. You can't really go on him because he can just
There's a Vamana. You know he had to do it to him.
You got to do it to him with the Thanatos, going for the executes. Elevate took care of one. May have just tipped SpaceStation off and said, yeah, that would have been pretty good here. Let's take the physical version.
I don't know if they're listening to me or something. I'm pretty sure that's illegal if we could just get a DQ.
Yeah,
right
actually,
quick.
Mike, it was actually me who said that Thanatos was the pick there. So,
okay.
If you could just give me credit where
Sorry
it's
about
actually
that.
due
Sorry.
for once. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, so who do you got in the picks and bans here between Elevate and SpaceStation?
I think Elevate is a better team. I like SpaceStation's draft a little bit more. I'm going to go with Elevate. I think they start off 2-0.
Quintosh?
I think SpaceStation can win if they get an early lead.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's Elevate's game.
Cop out.
SpaceStation need to take the early, according to Luminosity's coach, Quintosh. In order to get you the game, we've got our two casters standing by. It's Hindu and it's F-Dot. Take it away.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back to Super Regionals. My name is Tom Battinger, joined here.
It's a fly, Tom. It's okay.
No,
Tom
that
saw a
is
fly and he's
that
panicking.
is a large bug.
It's a fly.
I'm trying real hard to be professional, but that's a very big bug, and I'm a little perturbed. Either way, Tom Battinger, Graham Hatfield, Super Regionals.
That's me.
We've got Elevate taking on SpaceStation Gaming. Elevate's been on a tear. SpaceStation Gaming, not so much.
Well, to be fair, they looked the best out of NA that didn't made it into the wildcards, I should say. But the one thing to notice here is SpaceStation Gaming should be happy. NA should be happy. Elevate taking games off Dig. Dig getting beat by Energy means that one of those big super teams over in Europe are actually causing problems.
Yeah, it's been a long weekend already. We still have a couple of days to go. So far, DeathPanter on the Hoi, not a surprise here. Jermain on a Hunter, not a surprise here.
I'm still
3
angry
other
though, Tom.
Guardians, not a surprise here.
I'm still angry.
3 Guardians, 2 Hunters.
We saw Obey work out how to beat Elevate yesterday. Everybody watched it. Dignitas come in and go, we can beat it. We got big egos. We'll take that down. Run Jack. Then what do? We watch SpaceStation go, we also have big egos. Let's give him the Cabrakan once more. It's no problem. Cherryo can't play it. It's not going to be an issue for us. If SpaceStation give them
Cherryo's
the beating
Cabrakan.
today, SpaceStation get beat by this today, that is embarrassing to these teams in all fairness because they've seen it get beaten and how to deal with it.
Listen, Cherryo is Cabrakan in real life, okay? He's just going to play this character through and through. I mean, look at the guy. What it comes down to is I think the Athena ban was more important. You can control Cabrakan a little bit better than you can control Athena. The global ultimate from Athena is a little bit scarier because that's what you're doing. You're deciding between Cabrakan and Athena. You got to ban the RDO, I think, because she just becomes too unkillable late game.
And I get the REO, and I understand the Athena to an extent too, but it still feels like you try and take more weight. I like the AMC. First of all, I like the MC, and second of all, I'm glad it was Homie in the jungle on the Thanatos here. Thanatos is going to struggle. Sorry, I mean, Vamana's going to struggle in land against Xing 10, but I was a little bit worried they were going to run Vamana in the jungle here instead, and Thanatos solo potentially.
No, scary decanter.
Just to mix it up. But the Thanatos is going to be useful at maybe shutting down a little bit of this Cabrakan with the silences, with those death sights that can really chunk earlier on.
Elevate have this luxury of creating a situation where your opposition has to ban a bunch of bad stuff. I mean, not that the characters are bad, excuse me, but you gotta ban a Nox, you gotta ban an Athena.
When you say it's bad stuff, what you really mean is it's unmeta stuff for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing that Elevate have going for them. The Bruise Brothers in the duo lane, right? You have to ban those guys out. You can't give them comfort picks. And then you add the Egyptian ping master, is how I'm going to call him for this game.
Man.
Don't know where that came from, but let's just go with it. The Egyptian man Cherryo in the jungle, who now is playing at a normal ping and is a danger to society.
Yeah.
And by society, it's SpaceStation in this case.
Yeah, Cherryo
makes it tricky.
Fantastic on virtually anything he's been playing here. A little bit of damage on no numbers. Big chunk of damage thanks to Homiefe
I like
and the
this.
Death Scythe.
I like this. This is kind of, let's have them babysit a little bit of this Vamana in the early game. I mentioned Xing 10 doesn't do great up against Xing 10 does well up against the Vamana, but Vamana doesn't do great up against a Xing 10.
Sure.
With Homiefe support, though, one thing that No Numbers has been doing, and we've seen a couple of times in these Xing 10s, is the Stone of Gaia, regeneration.
Yep.
Well, Vamana has better regeneration overall because of his ultimate, but at the same time, one thing you can't do is regen takes a while. Homiefe will slice you down before you get a chance at that.
Here comes Cherryo looking to punish
Watch the
Homie for
ricochet.
the jungle invade. Not going to find it, however. Homie
Okay.
able to walk away, no problem.
If this was yesterday, Panther would have hit a triple shot there. Just saying. Did you see how many triple shots he hit yesterday?
I
with
did,
the Homie?
actually.
That's insane.
That was pretty nuts.
I don't know if he's going to be able to do the same thing today, but first one off the mark. Well, Homie ran the back, and I don't think Cherryo sees it.
He doesn't quite. Here come the Suns.
Love the
Homie, I think
Suns.
gonna find it, but he
Love
misses
the
the
Suns.
death sight. Big stun. The turnaround. Not enough to kill Thanatos. He's in the sky with a hair of HP. 69. Nice. Gonna get out of there.
Surprised we didn't see Jermain round the back again, looking for the kill on Homiefe there, because that was the same sort of back we saw that a little earlier on today from Skeleton, who got picked off by Energy.
So classic scenario when you're Thanatos. I say it all the time. If you miss your one, you better run, because you're just not going to be able to do anything. That chunk of damage from Death Scythe is everything. Homie comes in, hits him with the Soul Reap, fantastic. Throws out the disc. As soon as he misses it, he ults because he knows he's done.
And to be fair, DeathPanter has looked amazing on AD carries. Mages, completely different story, but AD carries, he's been absolutely out of this world. You just saw that ultimate there was for zoning to make sure they couldn't fully commit onto Cherryo.
Yeah.
And then he turns his attention to Homiefe, which releases even more pressure on Cherryo. That was all DeathPanter that kept Cherryo alive there. Great play from the mid lane.
Yeah, I just, Homie just missed, man. And Death Scythe, tough to hit in traffic, sure. I think that, you know, that's just a warm-up shot. Homie's got a fantastic Thanatos. Scary Deegan get poked out a little bit. He misses one, fine. If he misses another one, I'll say, okay, a second time. But Homie has to find those discs for sure.
And the one thing I'm going to keep an eye on this game is Homiefe's playstyle yet again. We were talking about it yesterday when he played that Bakasura. A lot more proactive in terms of his playstyle. A lot more aggressive. The sort of aggression that gave Homiefe his name. It gave him his name from Energy as well, who were like, yo, he's a really damn dangerous jungler.
Yeah.
This year, he's been off, he's been on. Maybe it's playstyle, maybe it's the composition of the team coming together and working, but it didn't look like the Homie we've seen. These Warriors isn't the assassin that I'm used to.
It's all playstyle. I spoke to a Homiefe earlier in the year as Cherryo is able to take care of those mid camps. And because I had actually been very vocal about how much I really like Homiefe's play, but I felt like in the summer split specifically, he sort of took a step back. And so Homie and I had a conversation about that. He was like, look, you know, I've actually been pretty proud of my gameplay, Tom. Why do you think I've taken a step back? And, you know, when a player says that to me, I usually reflect.
And think about it, yeah.
And so
Sure.
I looked back at the games and I said, you know what? Like, you're still scoring. You're still doing what you're supposed to do, but it's a different play style. You're playing these Osiris, you're playing these tankier guys, and you're not being this pure assassin like Cherryo's looking to do right here, going right on into Homiefe.
Huge wall.
Trouble there, the big pull.
The knock-up, though, from Dardez wasn't as good as White, but Homie's still ticking away in damage. Dardez will get first blood, and that Cherryo blink is what set it all up. SpaceStation Gaming were not prepared for that.
Cherryo being the proactive jungler. Wrapping up the conversation I had with Homiefe, you know, I said, you're just not the guy that's putting the foot on the gas. You're not the guy making the first step. You're responding. You might be playing just as well, but the eye test, you're failing it because you're not making these big plays. Cherryo comes in and he makes this big play. That's what you get from a
That was too
proactive
risky.
jungler.
Too risky, Dardez. Meditation, no, does come to the rescue. Beats for
the
Andy.
turnaround.
Maybe it was a bit of a nice little bait that worked out for them. So, okay, I'm not too upset now because end of the day, Dardez uses his meditation there, but it gets beads off Andy. That's big.
Really, really big there. Homiefe farming up and, you know, just as the punctuation, he plays the Bakasura, he gets aggressive and becomes proactive. Bang! That's the Homiefe that we're used to seeing. The Thanatos choice here, I love it. I say it all the time. You give the proper tool to the person that needs it. Stop giving Homiefe these tanky guys. Give him the pure junglers and see what happens.
And the thing is, it's like, he's the engage. That's the key. He is the engage. Homiefe is known as an engager. Cherryo is known as an engager. He'll play Guardians, but he'll still play in the same way he'll play an Assassin. He'll still be the engager for the team. You expect Homiefe to be an engager, and when he's not playing gods that can engage, like more like warriors that sit a little bit further back, look to farm more often, where is the proactiveness? That's always been the key for it. It's not that he's a bad player. It's not that generally he's playing the god badly. It's just not the style we're used to seeing where he really shines.
Right now, big party on the right side. Jungle. Thanatos going to miss again. Dardez, half HP. Homiefe preemptively in the sky, waiting for somebody to bring the tank down low. Not going to happen. Defensively exits.
Focus there was really onto Dardez. I called it during the start of the engagement. The problem was there wasn't enough damage done to Dardez overall. A couple of missed abilities came into play there, and that ultimate from Homiefe was a precursor to the execute onto Dardez that couldn't arrive unless that damage was done. Homie relied on his team let him down.
There's a blink to the right-hand side as the damage for Raijin is defensive. Cherryo looks for the stun, and Andy goes into the drum
Sure.
just to avoid the CC.
But now that ult's on cooldown, now the beads are on cooldown too, so he's only got the teleport really available for Andy every single time. And that's what Elevate want to do. They look to do it against Zeros in the last game for Dignitas. Pressure the mid laner, make sure he doesn't have his beads up and his ult at the same time. If you keep him on a constant rotation, then the amount of protection they have for themselves is very, very limited.
I love SpaceStation Gaming's decision-making there. Scary D did nothing. He was in the lane, and I'm actually not criticizing him for once here. He didn't have to be there. There was no reason for him to miss any of that farm. SSG understand that, and they tell their solo laner to stay put and get that farm. Because of it, Scary D finds himself about half a level up, able to get those 6 creeps that his opposition wasn't able to get. If you don't need to be someplace, don't make the rotation. SpaceStation Gaming makes the right call.
Really like the Pestilence coming out from Scary D in the solo lane here as well. Obviously, that's going to reduce the amount of sustain that we're going to see coming out from the Xing 10 and Dardez too, obviously with those wisps, but dual lane Zap's in trouble.
Oh, it's a beautiful play from behind, the knock up and the knockdown. Dardez starts it, Dardez finishes it. They pull on Jigz, he's got a jump available, and he'll use it. Dwarf gets away, but the B-Man does not elevate. 2-0.
We have seen Jermain and Dardez when the days from Myrmidons when they first came on the scene. I call them as the Bruise Brothers because they just want to fight.
All the time.
All the time. They don't care who they're against in lane. It could be Barra and Jeff. They'll take them all the time. Zapman, another big powerhouse name. We're not scared. They did it against the likes of Funballer and Trix Tank back in the day. They will just go and take fights, and they're not scared to scrap ever.
No, not at all. I mean, this is they are the remainder of Les Myrmidons, as you said. And when it comes down to it, man, you know, you talk to these guys, you talk to these players in the pit, and without mentioning any names, you know, I like to always, when the teams go up, I'm like, so what do you feel about this squad?
Who you feeling?
Yeah, exactly. And everybody just goes, watch the heck out for Dardez and Jermain.
All the time.
All the time.
But it also shows that teams recognize that because the bans are focused in that direction. Blinking, Homiefe going to be forced to beads again.
Beautiful beads. The beads avoids the pull.
And the big key there is Cherryo is keeping his blink on cooldown, which is a lot shorter than that of a bead. So every time he uses this blink and that's all they get, still a win for Elevate. Still a win. Keeps Homiefe, means next time, if they go and engage on Homiefe, next time, he's going to have to use his ult defensively because he's not got any CC.
Bad spot for Scary D. The entirety of his team is on the left side of the map, and he's looking to stick his nose here.
I don't know about this.
Elevate's going to jump on him. No numbers finds the pancake flip, forces the ultimate.
Well,
and SpaceStation is still on the left side.
And I think that was the key. Is like, well, where's the pressure really coming from here? You're going to get a couple of minions lost to the tower, maybe 3 melee at tops. No, probably just 2. If SpaceStation were ready for a gold Fury attempt, bit of a better situation. But Scary in the end, like, just wasted the time of Elevate. Yeah. But in the end, cost him his ultimate. So it's a win for Elevate yet again.
Exactly. I even think full commit from Elevate gets a kill on Scary D there, but they don't have the information that we do. You can see the vision coming out from Elevate is on the safe side, not the aggro side. So
Correct.
They can't tell that SpaceStation Gaming is rotating, you know, to those mid-harpy camps on the left side. So that's the luxury that we get as commentators.
Sure.
We have the helicopter view. Everybody else is sitting down on the ground.
But at the same time, if you've got the wards around the goal for you like you do, you could probably make that attempt on Scary. But Scary's going to come to this fight now without his ultimate. And there's Homie, who's forced to ult after not having beads now, trapped in those walls.
And again, he's going to stay local, looking for Dardez for the moment, then playing defensively. Again, same scenario. Anytime you are able to force out that ultimate for Thanatos defensively, you're doing the right thing. Because early game, he wants to initiate on you, land, 1-3 combo, kill you dead by himself. Mid and late game, he wants to use it for the execute. If you don't got it, you don't got it.
And this is Elevate coming in warm, though, as well. They just took on Dignitas, who have been rated for this year. They won Valencia. Yeah. Dignitas won Valencia. Elevate just took out Dignitas in that last game. You're coming in warm. You're coming in hot, even. And then you go against SpaceStation, and no discredit to SpaceStation here, but EU is known as being better than NA.
Well,
so
no numbers going to get collapsed on. Quick
no
jump
mana for
away.
Scary. No mana for Scary. Oh, this is a big play. Who got aggro? Scary's got aggro! Scary's got aggro! Scary's got aggro!
1 versus 2. No numbers turns that one around. Scary D got nothing. No numbers got everything. The 1 versus 2 is good. SpaceStation Gaming is still with a goose egg.
I don't think they expected... Clearly, they didn't expect No Numbers to ult that. They really didn't expect No Numbers to go for the ultimate in that scenario. As well, Scary D taking the Tower aggro with no mana. Yeah, I guess. I mean, he is the warrior after all. But no mana. No mana tanking that. You getting in any trouble there? I thought they were just going to have to let that kill go. Instead, they both dived. And No Numbers went, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I can take this fight. Oh, no.
And they say
oh,
really
no.
again. Homiefe engages on 2 separate players, one of which has the ultimate. Cherryo ults Homie. Not enough to find the kill onto the Thanatos, but SpaceStation Gaming making some very curious decisions here.
Reminiscent of Scary D back before he got picked up by LG now. That's what I'm feeling. Like, more than anything else, it's like the old school Scary D where everyone's like, well, these laning matches haven't been the greatest. And Scary's best god pool that we've seen in the solo lane from him has always been Amaterasu or Osiris. Not playing either one of those here. Obviously, Amaterasu not played as much, even though technically still viable.
I have been very critical of Scary D. And I stay by that. I don't think Scary D was the solution for SpaceStation Gaming. I think if Final K is in the solo lane, they have a drastically different series. Not the point I'm trying to make. The one game that Scary D did have a fantastic time on last season towards the end of the year that kept his team, LG at the time, in contention was on Vamana. He came out and
he's
he
now
played
trying
the
to take a blue.
Did.
I don't think he's going to get that either. I think blue was taken back away. Nice pull from Dardez there. I like the idea from Scary going straight back to it. Like, you can't let the knocks keep you down.
No.
You have to just, like, brush it off of, like, okay, I messed up, but I can't give up. I'm still going to keep playing the game. Good. The knocks, NO.
Yeah, they banned her.
I said NO and I was like, KNO. Oh, well. Damn, Tom. Stop it.
Well, Scary here. Like I said, if you go and you say, give me a list of games that Scary D kind of carries by himself, there's probably 2, and one of which was the game last year that Scary D played on Vamana and kept his team in the running. So I get it. Go back to the Vamana, see if you can, catch lightning in a bottle for a different team here. Not happening.
Gold Fury started up though. Jermain going to be able to time this up with the Devourer's Gauntlets, fully stacked Cherryo on zone duty with Dardez. The classic, because what Elevate's done. But Space is going to engage.
Right through the wall, and Homie from a distance gets him and puts his team on the board. Everybody in the hallway. What goes up must come down. DeathPanter is on the bad side of the Nubleoon. Now it looks like Dardez is up next. Z-Man Senior gets involved. The B-Man from the Z-Man. And it's 3-man for SpaceStation Gaming.
Well, Tom, you just said that a few moments ago. If you can keep them using these ults defensively, you're going to have a good time. They didn't use the ults defensively there. They weren't on cooldown, and immediately you get yourself in a world of hurt. SpaceStation take the lead in the game now dramatically. You can see the gold dip and the experience dip in their favor off that Gold Fury. They may even look for the Portal Demon. That seems to be the key here as well. They might be going for something a little bit extra.
Yeah, real important play from SpaceStation Gaming there. Everybody coming up big. But again, you know who I'm looking at? The small man being the big man, Homiefe. Just complete control of the scenario.
To be fair, you say you had complete control. Homiefe just walked around the corner and siped, and that was game. The bigger work, really, was Cherryo walks forward. No one gets caught out, isolated alone. They engage on him when everybody else on elevate's like, okay, there's no gank here. We've got to back up because we've got rotations coming in. And then they go, now kill Cherry. Drums come out straight away from Andinster. Zap's putting on a lot of damage too, and Jigz isn't scared to go all the way in at that point too. The commit was very good for Space. The call was good, and they all chose to commit, which is very important.
Yeah, it was the group team commitment. Homie, sure, he just throws the disc, but more importantly, the pathing, he cuts off the exit, right? Nobody can walk past Homiefe the bouncer. Yep. He's just sitting there, cuts off the exit, and then the trust in the team to go in the sky, knowing that someone is going to be brought down to execute range. He can fall down, execute, and then silence whoever else is left. Just a beautiful sequence coming out from the Thanatos player off of the back of the decision-making from SSG.
I really love what SpaceStation Gaming are doing here as well. Just have a little look at Elevate's relics. We've got 2 meditates. Why'd you get meditate? Deal with Thanatos, right? But what has SpaceStation done in response? We saw the Pestilence out of Scary D. He's also picked up the Ankh as well for extra anti-heal. And then even Andinster is making sure he's reducing healing. He's gone for a Divine Ruin. This hurts damage output from these characters and some survivability, but it does limit how long Elevate can stay in these fights.
Oh my goodness, I love DeathPanter. I love this play
not low
right
enough.
here.
But he might be low enough if he lands and sipes him, but the whole crew's waiting. I agree with Homie there. I know he had the idea, but it's like, no.
That ult from DeathPanter, I think, that a lot of times we joke, you miss your ult, we call it a zoning ult.
Yeah.
That's the zoning ult. And
it happened at the start of the game as well.
Yeah, and that making that call to actually drop the zoning ult when Suns are as impactful as they are can be tough. But that's just DeathPanter saying, we lose this fight. Do not fight. Y'all can't walk here. Down come the Suns. Really like that decision from DP.
Taya, we're watching Jermain right now on this Hachiman, and I think he could be a real key here because SpaceStation Gaming just took control of this game so far. It's definitely not out of the reach of Elevate now, but Jermain's going to be a big factor. We've not really seen him get involved in these fights yet. Hasn't died, but he's going to have to make a big impact in this to help turn this around as this game continues.
They're down 4,000 gold. They were in worse scenarios versus Dignitas, which is theoretically a better team than SpaceStation Gaming. I say theoretically because SpaceStation has just been playing better than Dignitas.
Well, to be fair as well, Elevate took Obey to 5 games, so that's how hot Elevate are really running now. Even if you don't like the performances overall, they took Obey 5 games.
That's another thing here, and like I think we have identified that Cherryo is a LAN guy, not an online guy. Sure, that's all well and good. Elevate looked, let's say, really good during the online split.
Solid.
Here at LAN, they look. What's scary is they don't look like a different team, which would be the cliche. They look like the same team, just turned up to 11.
So here's what I'm seeing over in Europe,
Everyone's just better.
Well, here's what I'm seeing in Europe, which is really weird, is that online, you'll see Obey and Dig perform really well, right?
Yeah.
At LAN, it's Rival and Elevate that seem to be the LAN monsters.
Sure.
And I don't know exactly why that is. Obviously, everyone will talk about the ping with Cherryo playing in Egypt, but even Dardez and Jermain, seem to just have that little extra spring in their step when it comes to these games online that we don't see to get when they're playing at home.
Yeah, it's that intangible, and playing at LAN is
it's extra hype.
It's it's extra hype.
The extra
it's
energy.
a really big deal.
Yeah. Well, this is for a world spot and Elevate looking to, and taking into account this team never went into a best of 5 set until that one against Obey.
Yep.
And then they're coming into today, they've beaten Dignitas already, and now they're up against SpaceStation, who, coming into this feels like an even game. It should be on paper, and it is so far.
Yeah, I think Elevate is the latest, if not the last, of the great team improvement projects. We've seen Cyclone and then turn into Rival, right? Energy, of course, the classic. Elevate, I think, is fitting in that position with Dardez and Jermain.
Even though I'm giving all this credit here, hold that thought. Zap getting under pressure. Big shield coming out there. Sorry, shell coming out from Jigz there defensively just to make sure Zap just stays topped off. But the big thing for Elevate here, I've only seen one comp work. That's been my only concern. I've only seen one comp work. And I'm not discrediting them because why not just keep doing it if it's working? Other teams are letting us get it too, but when we haven't seen them get that comp, Obey set shows you that they don't seem to have anything else in the tank that can handle it.
Elevate beat themselves.
Sure.
They chose to go Hunbat Scylla, and I think that there's something to be said about playing your style versus being a one-trick.
Agreed.
Gold's Fury started by Elevate here. Half HP, beautiful pull coming out from Dardez, but around the back end one more time is the Assassin. Homiefe gets chased out. Dardez is going to be all the way down, but the Hunter misses.
He missed.
Thanatos misses, and he gets punished for it. He becomes number 4 for Elevate, and Dardez walks away. Ain't no problem in the world.
The reason they have to run as well, not only because they're low on health, but because No Numbers was making a rotation. Scary D wasn't coming over here. You can see he's still in the lane. They're going to get a tier 1 tower on the right-hand side, SpaceStation, so they're still in the lead in this game. They didn't lose too much as that gold view at this point isn't as worthwhile as it used to be, but it is still something. I like the call from SpaceStation to disengage, but Homie missed.
Yeah, I mean, Dardez, and I'm the king of saying he didn't miss, he got juked out. Dardez barely moved.
I mean, he couldn't. He was slowed to high heaven by Andinster.
He's Sylvanus. What's he going to do, jump? Right.
I mean, you can, but that's still going to keep him pretty much in place.
They had no idea Scary D was
He's
there.
low on mana. He's going to have to use his ult and Thorns, so free pick for Elevate there to get a Relic and the ultimate out from Scary D. Means that's another small win.
See, like that, that's the wrong choice.
Did actually see the tier 1 tower go down the left-hand side too, so SpaceStation won't be too upset. Yeah, they lose the gold. It was a misplay. They're not out of it, though. They're still in control. Unless Zap gets caught by Cherry.
Cherryo's coming around the back end. Zapman reads it, puts out damage.
Oh, it's the hammer! He missed the hammer! If Jigz hits the hammer, we might have just seen Zap live a little bit longer and Andy come in. But now the focus will be on Andy and Homie, who have to now disengage. Tier 1 mid, Elevate.
DeathPanter jumps over the Soul Reap from the Thanatos just in time. Chases Homiefe out of the scenario. Tier 1 tower goes down. I don't think they can defend a tier 2 either.
Only got 2 archers, but they can't really get in range to kill the archers with the Thanatos and the Fafnir. So 2 towers for Elevate. Great play from them. The gold lead is starting to creep back towards them.
Nice control coming out from Elevate. Like I mentioned earlier, I mean, this is a team that can fight from behind, no problem.
Good zone, no numbers. He realizes he's got to keep him busy from getting in range, and even Jigz trying to steal it over the wall. Dardez will block that. And now Scary, no ultimate this time. Sunshine, the sun's rained down, and the tank falls.
Andinster would be next if Elevate didn't just want to back and look for a different objective. Andy pushes up, no longer has an ultimate. He's kind of a sitting duck, but Elevate have better options at their disposal. And talking about improvements as a unit, old Elevate goes for Andinster. New Elevate has the discipline to walk away.
Those last 2 minutes, though, was such a big swing in the state of the game. SpaceStation were fine. But then what happens? We saw Homie miss the ultimate, which means Elevate win the fight and get the Gold Fury. Then Zap, a minute later, ends up looking for the Oracles, gets caught, ends up dying. Jigz missing that hammer was a big influential point there potentially as well. And that just catapults Elevate to getting a tier 1, a tier 2, a portal demon, now a tier 1 on the right-hand side. Big swing, huge swing.
You just can't, I mean, it's rough because you're going to miss abilities in Smite. That's kind of the beauty and the ugly of the game. Again, DeathPanter jumps over Homiefe's silence, but there are some things that you can't miss.
Well, that's the fun thing about Smite.
You can't miss that ultimate.
You say it, and that's the thing. You've got to miss you miss the abilities that happens, but it's actually like whoever makes the least amount of mistakes in the game, critical mistakes, are the ones that end up winning the game. And so far, SpaceStation have made a couple of critical ones where it's given the flow back towards Elevate.
The pull to Scary D brings him in and then pushes him out. Cherryo, on the other hand, zoning out the duo lane up north. Homiefe and Andy biding their time on the left-hand side. Fire Giant has been leashed out. SpaceStation Gaming actually have a good handle on this team fight.
They do, because they will have to walk away from Scary D, who had those thorns.
It's
but as
gone
soon
now.
as they engage on Jigz, they rip it around and go back in.
Homie in the sky looking for a target. It's DeathPanter who
Good leap.
jumps
Good leap.
over the nonsense again. Finds an exit.
And he gets a kill.
And by the way, he finds a kill on his way out. Scary D on the bad side of a double kill. Elevate, lose 0, and take down the solo and the support.
DeathPanter, oh, Zap could be in trouble. He's on his own here, surrounded. If Dardez can find the pull, he misses it. Okay, Zap should live here, even though Cherry's going to go back in for some extra poke. I think they should have just fallen back here. DeathPanter, though, just going to go back to that once again. On Hunters, he is a completely different player to that on Mages. His Ho-Yi is very dangerous in this mid lane.
DeathPanter's Ho-Yi has always been really
I still think his relic usage has been lackluster, but this, so far as this has gone on, it's not been too bad.
If you jump over everything, Graham,
you don't need
no relic.
Sure. But to be fair, a leap can be classed as a relic in terms of it's an extra escape for yourself to get out of combat.
Fantastic zoning coming out from Cherryo and no numbers. Just by the book. Elevate take care of it. Their damage in the back. 2 players playing super up front with a third playing sort of like the sweeper type play, and just nobody's getting past that scenario.
It's this thing of like Elevate have run triple
the
tank, 2 Hunters multiple times this week. Why is nobody? We saw Nemesis out of Obey. Nobody else has gone back to Nemesis, first of all.
So I want to see the Nemesis.
Well, why not fight fire with fire too? If they're going to run triple tank, you go triple tank as well and go 2 Hunters and then actually fight them straight up.
Because
What's wrong with
Elevate's
that?
better at it than you are.
Are they though?
Yes.
How'd you know?
Because they've practiced it forever and you haven't.
Sure, but a one-on-one ability on paper, if you look at this squad against the likes of SpaceStation, I think SpaceStation on paper, 1v1s, you'd feel SpaceStation should win that.
I don't agree anymore.
Because of the team fights. That's why, because of the way Elevate's playing. That's why you're feeling it.
I think, so no numbers beat Scary D because everybody beats Scary D. Cherryo and Homiefe probably about even. DeathPanter and Andy wins hand over foot. Dardez versus Jigz. Jigz by an inch. Jermain versus Zapman. Jermain wins that.
And the other thing that you see about a triple tank composition is the 3 tanks are going to be very frontline-esque, looking to do the engaging. We don't have the assassins that get to the back line that easy. Homiefe is a little bit more telegraphed than most with this ultimate, even though he's an assassin.
Sure.
But then you've got like the likes of Circuits, you've got the likes of Hunbatses even, and I know Hunbats isn't great as everyone says, but Hunbats to get to the back line is a real big disruptor.
Here's my thing. The conversation about the 1v1s, that's fantastic for us. We're the sports media, and we need conversation topics. But at the end of the day, ain't no such thing as a 1v1 in the SPL. It's team versus team.
I don't know. Numbers was one person, he got a kill against 2.
Cherryo.
I'm just saying.
That was true. Cherryo, DeathPanter, Dardez, Jermain, and No Numbers play together better than Scary D, Homiefe, Andy, Jigz, and Zapman. I know that's a heavy statement, and that's why I'm saying it.
It is
They
heavy.
are a more cohesive team right here, right now, than SSG can present.
But the point you made as well about, like, you know, they practice it so much, Elevate. Most of SpaceStation Gaming played that meta for nearly a year. Maybe not with each other, but they played that meta for nearly a year. So
Sure.
if we're going back towards that meta, if we can't beat them, just join them. That's what a lot of teams do. That's where metas come from.
That's
right?
fair.
That's exactly what happens all the time. Oh, we can't seem to beat it? I guess we'll do the same thing.
You look for the counterplay, right? You look for the nemesis. I was sitting here off camera begging for a Kali for Homiefe. Now, the Thanatos does sort of the same thing. He's a tank killer, right? Look for the tank killers. Look for the Kalis. Look for the Thanatoses, the Thanatai, if you will, right? Like, look for these characters that can murder the tanks. Look for the nemesis. That's what I want. And
I do want to point out, I know I mentioned the Nemesis here in terms of, like, it's great against tanks. Against the comp that Elevate have drafted in, Nemesis isn't the greatest in the world.
I completely disagree. You're going
really
to
think
eat
so?
Dardez. You're going to eat No Numbers. You're going to eat DeathPanter. Nemesis
But if you-
destroys this
If you
squad.
focus one of them, the others will CC you to high heaven that you can't even get to continue to beat them. That's the issue.
If
You're
you-
talking about the ult only. If you're talking about the ult only, yes, the ult is great.
Nemesis ult, Jigz hammer, Andy bang on the drums. It's a 5v4.
Agreed.
Easy peasy.
But
No
you
problems.
Got to get in position for those also. Here's the siege though. Elevate going to group up, and in goes Homiefe, but so does Cherryo.
DeathPanter already down a half, jumps over nothing this time
Gets
around.
Andy.
Cherryo
And
versus the
Homie.
world. Locks two people in. Nobody looking at the Phoenix just yet. SpaceStation now pushing Elevate off. They're going to regroup with the heal and look again.
So Cherryo looks at everybody and takes on everyone, while Scary D gets focus fired down and forced to ult. Cherryo's ult for Scary D's ult. I'm taking that every day of the week.
Yup.
And not only that, that forces back the front line of SpaceStation, which means Elevate gets a free Phoenix and now can look towards mid.
Jigz now half, gonna back up.
Jigz ult down too,
The
remember?
call is to back up. Homiefe on a different page, goes forward, finds DeathPanter, brings him down to 60. Homiefe on the flank, Scary D in the ground. DeathPanter, 4-1 and 2 for the Hunter.
Two hunters, you can't sit down and look at your Phoenix that long because it won't be there for very long with two hunters that have the fire giant. At least they did. But now we go again. Left Phoenix. This is a little bit dangerous, but they're on a 4v5.
Nah, they're
and
fine. Meditation, Sylvanus, classic typewriter play. Right, mid, left, ching. SpaceStation Gaming looking to play defense, but just barely.
if you are a Dignitas fan, you're not happy about this, I'll tell you that much. If you're a North America fan, you might not be happy because right now Elevate are forcing SSG to take a fight with 3 Phoenixes down.
And the meditation saves them one more time. Homiefe looks for a target, finds it, but it's way too healthy to execute or even think about following up. DeathPanter way away from the fight as he should be. No Numbers forces out
He's
beats
still
from
want to fight. Look at
Zapman.
Jermain. He's just like, let's just fight.
Jermain
I don't
goes
care.
in.
Let's just
Jermain
fight.
goes in.
It's not going to find the end here. They've got to be careful about trying to end. But this is Elevate. Like, listen, even if we throw this entire fight and we get decided here, SpaceStation can't end. But they can
No.
get a fire giant. But they've still got 3 Phoenixes down. So we don't have to worry too much. A little bit of fun, but they're feeling very confident now, Elevate. And I would be very scared about playing them the rest of this day.
Watching Jermain just 1v4 roll forward. That is so Jermain.
So here's the thing: we can't deal with the triple tank issue of like RTO, Athena, and Cabrakan, and we can't ban them
can't
all.
ban it out.
So sure. So what do you do instead? Let's focus DeathPanter, right? What have we seen him
Yes.
good on? AMC. What else? Ho Yi.
Yi.
Outside of that, give him Scylla. Give him 15 Scyllas if he wants. He can't land a freaking ability on
That's
it.
very
So don't
true.
worry about it. Take away his Ho Yi, take away his AMC, and that could break the back of this Elevate composition.
I agree in that regard.
There's always ways around the compositions they're running, even if you can't get the prime targets that you think are the big issue.
The problem is, Graham, and I'm just gonna be completely honest here. I think if you put DeathPanter on something that he can play, let's say 60%, the rest of the squad is gonna carry it. Jermain, Dardez, Cherryo, No Numbers can carry somebody 60%.
I just want to see what else he's
They're
got.
that good.
I need to know what else he's got in the hunter pool. Because if they're going to keep running this and like people start to realize that, then what's next?
He's
Jingwei?
got an Uller. That's all I can tell. That's all I can know.
That's fair.
He's got an Uller. I don't know what else he got.
If Dardez would have caught that, that could have been game right there. Because Andy off the table is going to be a big problem. Now his beads are down 2, which means once again Andy's going to play very far back. Did cost Cherryo his beads blink once again though, but Andy is the big hope for this team.
Yes.
on defense.
I mean, he's got the Rada Tahuti and 2 steps of the Obsidian Shard, so he's going to actually start doing some damage again, which is pretty nice.
Got him.
Pull is on the mark. Jigz is up in the sky. Couple of shots,
He's
and
safe.
Jigz is on the retreat.
He's still safe, and his drums have been pushed and forced out. Homie's in the sky, but no one's low. This could be the last ditch defense because all the ultimates have been used now.
Homie goes up and lands defensively. Zapman gets pulled. Zapman's in trouble. Pancake flip, and he's down for the count.
That's game.
DeathPanter 5-1-2. Still continuing on. Whirlwind of rage and meal, because Cherryo's eaten. Titan's gonna be the last target here. Thanatos finds one. The Titan's at half. The Titan's at a corner. The Titan is down. SpaceStation Gaming fall to Elevate.
2 wins for Elevate. And let's just say 2 wins for Elevate against Dignitas and SpaceStation Gaming.
Yeah.
They came in as 4th seed here. Energy will have a small grin on their face. Most other teams will not be happy about this.
Not at all.
They would not have expected Elevate to be one of the teams in contention for a spot, let alone the forerunners now after these sets.
You know, and we saw a brief glimpse of him up there, and really somebody that I have to give a nod to for Elevate is Coach Dazer. We haven't spoke about him much this weekend.
We haven't.
But Elevate have been playing
It's the shots.
fantastically, but Elevate are slamming it because of the draft.
I did want to say, like, yesterday he wore a suit and
It
they
is the
lost.
shorts.
Today he's wearing shorts and they're winning.
He's got these like flowerful. Am I allowed to direct? Can we get a camera on Dazer? Can I?
Probably not.
That's
right
not gonna
now.
happen.
Not
Production
right
don't like me that much. But he's got these like He's got this like floral shorts on. There's power in the shorts. I'm telling you.
now. Well, there may be power in the shots, but there's power in the play for Elevate. That's for sure today. Hey,
Absolutely.
there we go.
And you know what? They're making their games nice and short, so it all ties together like that. Fantastic stuff coming out. Yeah, actually, the cameraman's
was
just
bad.
walking past without a camera,
was bad.
so not gonna happen.
I don't know what's going to happen with SpaceStation Gaming next. SpaceStation Gaming they're not out. SpaceStation Gaming are out, but Dig probably is, based off that result. If Elevate lose that game to SpaceStation, it keeps Dig in contention, because Energy could beat Elevate, and SpaceStation beating them means that they beat SpaceStation, and blah, blah, blah. But Dig's probably getting on that flight real soon.
Elevate is playing better than some of the guys that won yesterday. That's all I've got to say.
It's fair.
Enough about us. Let's move to the desk.
Welcome back to the desk, everybody. I'm now joined by some of the Obey men here, Ataraxia and Hazer, the hunter and coach for the squad. Guys, I was sitting next to you over in the stands, and I think it was you, Nate, who said, I feel a lot better about going to 5 with Elevate after how well they've played today. They look great.
They look amazing. I mean, they have this this strategy that literally, how many teams? There's 10 teams here? 8 teams?
Yes.
There's a lot of teams here, and they have the strategy that literally no other team has, and they are doing work with it. I don't like their win rate with it is absurd at this point, and yeah, I would be terrified to go. We were terrified to go against them after that set started. So, they're having a great time so far.
What are they doing? I mean, is it just as simple as giving DeathPanter Hui and filling in a bunch of Guardians around him, Hazer? Or what else are they doing that makes it so effective?
So one of the things that they're doing that I definitely think is really great for them is they're picking up Stone of Gaias on both their solo laner and Cherryo in the jungle, which I think allows them to take long fights and sustain back up. The 2 hunters have lifesteal as well, and Dardez, sometimes he'll pick up the Stone of Gaia, sometimes he won't. We saw him not pick it up on the Geb. I don't think he picked it up that last game either, but he also picked up a Rod of Asclepius and a Mail of Renewal, so they've just got so much sustain. You cannot bring them down. They take these long fights and they bring the wins out of it.
And the Thanatos is a good idea to combat against the healing on one hand, because you can kill someone before the healing comes into play, but on the other, it's so hard to have someone stay in execute range against a team that has so many Stone of Gaias and so much healing.
Two meditations too.
Two meditations. I mean, there was a Pestilence in the solo lane for Scary D. He even picked up a Cursed Ankh. It was a Divine Ruin in the mid lane for Andinster. Is there anything else that SpaceStation could have done to try and work with the anti-heal?
I think they almost lost this game. I'm not saying what Elevate are doing is unbeatable. What I will say is I think this is a perfect example of a team picking comps that is perfect to their players. Cherryo is a playmaker and a frontliner. That's how he wants to play, and he's getting to play it. DeathPanter is basically an ADC main at this point. He could replace me. He's got his Hou Yi is as good as Amelito's. And I think SpaceStation almost the same with Dig. They lost this in the draft. Hindu said it in the cast. He said this is an ego situation. They know what Elevate are great with. They've seen it. They've seen it yesterday and they're seeing it today. And teams are still letting them have it. And I think it's absurd that you could watch that and think you could beat it in a best of one. You've got one try. It's not a scrim session or anything. You've got one go at it. And I think it's ludicrous to try. There
is no way that Cherryo gets Cabrakan the rest of this weekend, right?
I hope not. I feel like... he's won so much on it. It's not fun to play against, I can tell you that much.
And you tweeted, I believe, Hazer, after your set that Elevate was one of the harder teams to figure out among the recent memory to try and adjust how you were picking and banning against them. What does why is Cabrakan the linchpin for this entire composition?
So I think the thing is, it's Cherryo's playstyle is what makes it the linchpin. It allows him to be an initiator, it allows him to soak damage and get relics. I think that's one of the most important things he does, is he will get beads, get Aegis, they'll disengage a fight again, heal up, and take another fight. And nobody's been able to burst him down so far. You do not see Cherryo dying in the backline. He just doesn't on this Cabrakan. On other gods, maybe the RTO, maybe he is able to be taken down. But I think, yeah, just allowing him to be this frontline initiator, allowing Dardez and No Numbers to kind of initiate afterwards and take advantage of the beads and Aegises he's forced is just great for him.
And No Numbers has been able to get Xing consistently so far. He's been phenomenal as well. This was the highlight play for him, no doubt, to finding the 2v1 kill underneath the tower. Xing, why is he in particular so critical to the strategy? Because Elevate has been picking him top 3 just about every game.
So I think it's because they want Numbers to play in solo on a god that will do fine from behind, so that Cherryo can just abandon the solo lane and help out Panther in mid, allowing the train in the dual lane that is Dardez and Jermain, the Bruise brothers. We all know they're incredible together, allowing them to play together and not forcing Dardez over into mid. So they put Numbers on the Xing, which also takes advantage of those beads being down really, really well. So you see him get a lot of big ults.
How hard is it to play against a triple Guardian composition as a hunter, Nate?
It's so difficult, when there's the more tanks you have, the easier it is to play as an ADC, and the more tanks they have, the harder it is to play as an ADC. And it's you've got so many different angles, and they can all kill you. They all do some decent damage. They CC you, which is the scary thing, is you've got to beads to Cabrakan, but then Xing going to come in later in the fight, and you've got to make sure you're never close enough so he can ult you, and your jump's always up. It's extremely challenging. And you can see the hunters today have been struggling against it. Arkill's had a rough set. Zap as the B. There's not really that much movement you have, especially with the walls and the CC and the beads. It's horrible. It's probably the worst thing you could play against.
So